Hey guys, this is Derek with Blue Collar Chess, and in today's episode, I want to talk about motivation. Uh, so, I guess before I talk about motivation, I want to talk about deliberate practice and focused playing, um, and what happens when you tilt. So, I think one key ingredient to improving is to be focused on whatever you're doing, whether it's playing or if it is practicing, right? Whether you're doing tactics, doing calculation, doing visualization, even looking at openings. You need to kind of focus on what you're doing. Get all the other distractions out. And there are times when I just can't do that, and I would consider that tilt. Whether it's I'm playing a game, I played too much, I'm no longer. I got frustrated because of the way I lost the last game. Uh, sometimes I'll be doing a puzzle, and then I'll be doing the first two or three really, really well. Like I'm looking at everything, I'm visualizing everything, I'm calculating everything. I may miss a couple things, but for the most part, I'm doing a really good job with this puzzle. And then I'll do a puzzle and I'm kind of guessing. So now when that happens, I'm taking that opportunity to just stop. I am no longer pushing through and just guessing. And you may be able to make a point for guessing. Like maybe it's not that big of a deal. Uh, and as long as you see the puzzle through and practice that puzzle again at some point, I'm sure somebody's done some sort of study on that. I have not. I just think it's better to solve the puzzle yourself. So tilt, like I've lost a lot of rating points due to tilt. When you're trying to chase that win, kind of that win high type of thing where you're like, oh. So there was a point in time when I built up I think it was like, oh, if it wasn't 2300 plus on Lee Chess, it was close to 2300. I built this up, and then, over the course of a month or two, and then after that, I just tilted for like 2 days straight. I would play, I would lose, I'd play again right away, and the rating points just kept dropping and dropping and dropping. After all that hard work, like I really worked hard to get to that 2300. I don't know if any of you guys have gotten that high on Lee Chess, but it's pretty tough competition because it seems to be, to me, once you hit 2000 on Lee Chess, there seems to be like some sort of compression happening, and a 2000 player can be a 1600 player, or it can be a legitimately like 2000 over the board player. Like it's really weird. I don't know. Give it the time of day. I have no idea what's going on there. Anyway, so I worked really hard to get to that rating, and then just because I tilted, then I dropped it down. Now I don't care that much about my online rating. I care more about my over the board rating, of course. But because of where I live, most of what I do is online playing and training, if you want to call it training. There's a lot of cheating online, for sure. I know there's a lot of conversation about that. I believe it to be close to at least 30 to 40% of people I'm playing to be cheating. Uh, it's just, a lot of times you'll be playing a game, and during that game, or even like usually in the beginning, right? Like you make an opening move, they'll make an opening move, or vice versa. Then you make an opening move, and then all of a sudden there's just nothing happens for a bit, and then all of a sudden somebody's watching your game, and they don't have a score, or if it's a very low score, pretty sure it's a second account, and that happens all the time. So lately I've been just kind of I've just been resigning those games and not worry about my rating, which I know is counterintuitive. I don't want to play a cheater. I believe they're cheating, and I think the best way to beat them is to not play with them. Is the best I can do, right? So if I think somebody's cheating, I think that's a major way to cheat. I am going in there and I'm blocking them after that. So, anyways, the reason why this is pertinent to chess motivation is because it's very unmotivating when you're playing cheaters online. So that's been a serious problem for me. because again, like I live in an area where there's like no chess going on. I'm probably one of the stronger players around, and there's just not a lot for me out there. Um, Coaching at some point, and that's kind of motivating me too. Like I'm doing this channel, and I'm kind of doing like a podcasty thing here and there, and I really enjoy doing this. And all I'm doing is training online. That's it. I'm like, hey, if you want to train with me, here's the puzzles. Here are the puzzles I'm working through, and let's do it. So I hope people respond to it. So I'm finding that motivating right now, but yeah, so basically the ways I've been trying to find motivation is I'm doing this YouTube channel. I am getting ready for a tournament that's going to be coming up. Within a couple months. It's gonna be kind of the state championship. I like playing that. I've always had very poor results. I've won, back when I used to play like 10, 12 years ago, I did very well. Like I went from 1100 to it was like 1793, and then I just stopped playing. So I had that rating from high school. Then I didn't play for a while. Then I started playing, and I played online mostly, and I absolutely just love playing. So I was able to climb my rating up to about 1800. Again, this was 12 years ago, at least, and so now I've seen. So I played two tournaments the past 2 years. Both the state championship, and so I've lost rating points in the first one. I added terrible. It was just horrible. So after about 12 years of being inactive, I went back to playing, and didn't really practice with a board, even though I knew I should have. So I get there, and not to mention I worked that day. So I deliver bread, and I got up, and I went out. I went out to work, and everything just went wrong. Things were supposed to happen to make it easier for me, and just everything absolutely went wrong. So by the time I actually got to the tournament, I was pretty stressed. So my first match was against, I forget the guy's name off the top of my head, but he was mostly a chess.com player, and he was unrated. So I was a little nervous about that because I was very tired. I was actually already kind of exhausted, and it was only 9 a.m. I get up to work at like midnight. So anyways, so I did win that game, but I didn't really get any points because he was unrated. So, and then my second game, I lost. I can't remember if I left. I'm gonna have to go back and look at my notes. But yeah, I think I lost. No, I did. I lost my second game. I was playing a new opening, and I had numerous chances in that game. The guy was 1700. I had numerous chances in that game to equalize. I was definitely fighting for a draw, but there was definitely numerous chances when I looked it over with my coach, and I just played really poorly. Then I took a bye. And then I come back the next day, and again I was exhausted because I woke up at like 1. When you get into a sleep routine, it's very hard to get out of that sleep routine. So I ended up like playing this game. I think I was winning at one point. I actually dozed off. Like I fell asleep, and I kind of micro slept a couple of times during that game. And I ended up losing on time, and there was no reason to lose on time. It's just I dozed off, and so my first tournament back was a complete failure. It was just terrible. I lost 50 or 60 points. Then the next year, I took the day off. Right, lessons learned. I cannot do that. So I took the day off. My first game was against this younger, probably high school kid or late middle school, and it was a tough game. He was 1100, and it was a tough game. I think I was rated like 1750, and I was struggling with him. I come very close to losing that game, and he resigned in a position where I would not have resigned. I mean, he was losing, but up to this point, I'd missed like, I don't know, at least 2 wins in that game. So, yeah, So that happened. And then the next game was against a local national master, and that was a typical. That felt like an online game actually. So I'm losing, and then all of a sudden I come back, but then I lose on time. Um, so when you look at the final position, it's dead even. But I was like -4 at one point, and he was just trying quickly to beat me on time because we were playing a 60 plus 5, and yeah, I don't think I even had the clock like set up right because I hadn't played for so long, and I'd always use like analog clocks. So I lost that game, and then I took a bye, and then the second day I played this 1800 guy, an older gentleman, and he played an opening. I had no idea, right? It was I think it's called the Collie. Um, so I had no idea at the time how to play against it, what it was. So this ended up being just a marathon of a game. I did end up winning that game, so I did gain some points in that tournament. So now I'm back up to like 1770 or 1780. So the second time was much better. Well, I ended up leaving for the last round too. I was no longer in contention for a prize, so I wasn't feeling the motivation there. So the reason why that's important is because I still find that tournament motivating, even though I've had kind of bad results. Well, this year I'm practicing a little bit more. I'm doing things a little bit differently, and yeah, and so just motivation kind of comes from you. I mean, do you want to get your rating up? I've never liked rating specific goals. I've never been a big fan of that, especially if they're online rating goals, because online's fickle. I mean, it's just really, really fickle. You can play chess.com. A 2200 in a rapid game will just hang a queen. It it's really kind of weird. You don't get that in the over the board tournaments. So I'm not a huge fan of online online rating goals, to be honest with you. So my goal, I would say, is just to get better. And I know I am more knowledgeable, but I feel like my skills are actually declining for sure. Or for me to keep them up, it's harder work now. Like I have to actually try to keep them up. That's why I'm doing mostly visualization and a decent amount of calculation training and that type of stuff. So yeah, I mean, and that's pretty much it. I think for that. Well, so the other thing, my coach. So really like my coach. He's good for me because he's not like. Well, so I don't know how to say this. I initially, when I reached out to him, his name is Mark, and I reached out to him, and I'm like, hey, look, I'm an older chess improver, and I don't actually want to spend a ton of time improving chess, but I would like to have a coach. I don't expect my goals to be too lofty, and can we do this? So it took us a couple months to kind of really find our groove. What I'm finding is things that I don't like to study on my own, like endgames. That's kind of what I reach out to my coach for. I reach out to my coach for help with that type of stuff. Like, okay, so we'll work on it. We'll play some. We'll practice against each other. He also has some opening ideas, but we don't play the same openings. And I'm kind of gravitating lately towards not exactly system openings, but kind of openings where I can just kind of set and forget. And so I can work on the other stuff like positional training and, or positional understanding rather. I just really need to get better at positional chess. So, so I really enjoy my training with my coach. So I'm also finding that motivational. Before I had another coach who I think is really good, really intelligent, he can explain things very well, but he would get so like he would sigh like if I couldn't get something, especially if it was an easy something, he'd be like, because that was his like. We were trying to get me over the hump of looking for simple moves as opposed to looking for these grandiose moves, where I'm like, you know, sacrificing rooks and all that type of stuff, because I do have a bad habit of doing that. So, in his defense, he was on the right path. Like, he was really trying to work with me, but I got very sick of the size and stuff like that. So, I moved along, and I then reached out to Mark, and I am not going to get titles. I mean, possibly a national master, maybe if I really, really wanted to work at it. And honestly, I don't have time. I just want to get better. So I'm willing to invest in a coach to help me get better. And basically, he's helping me do the things that I don't want to do on my own. I'm not a self-motivated per se, not in the sense like I'm going to crack open Dvoretsky's Endgame Manual and just go through it. That is not me at all. Like, I'm just not going to do that. But I will work through problems with Mark, no problem whatsoever. Like, that's not an issue for me. Why, I couldn't exactly explain, but that's what's going on. So I would say having the right coach is also motivational, because you have somebody you kind of have to answer to. Not that I have to answer to Mark, but he knows that I am looking forward to this tournament, and so he's asking me questions like, what are your goals? Do you want to work on openings? Do you want to do this? And I've told him flat out. I was like, hey, look, Mark, I'm gonna come to you with some opening questions if I'm looking through what I want to play, and I'm struggling with understanding, the structure or the plans or any of that stuff. I will come to you. But other than that, why don't we just work on my middle game planning and this and the end game planning? And he was like, okay, sounds like a plan. So very easy to work with. So I guess in a nutshell, I think chess motivation is, as long as you have it, hit it, As soon as you don't feel like you're feeling motivated, that's probably a time to take a break. I mean, just like any relationship, right? Like, you have a relationship with somebody and you're not feeling being around them, you step away for a little bit, whether it's for an hour to regroup in that case. But like with chess, I mean, you can take a little bit longer. Like, you don't have to keep playing. Take a day off. Take a couple days off. If you'd rather read a book, chess book, any kind of book, read a book. You don't have to force yourself to play chess. You can just play when you're feeling good and practice when you're feeling good. And if you want to practice other than those times, then that's, of course, up to you. But if you're not finding it motivational, because I don't like rating goals. Again, I think it's more, I love to play chess and I want to be the best that I can be. And I think that is the goal for me. So when it comes to chess motivation, and I'm not setting a time on it. I'm not like, okay, in 1 year's time, I'm going to be an expert. I'm like, oh, in 1 year's time, I just want to be better than I was a year ago. That's it. That's all that I'm expecting from myself. I just want to be a little bit better, because I have a lot of things going on. I have work, I have a wife, I have a house I got to keep up. I've got all these things. And chess is such a small part of my life, even though I absolutely love it and I think about it a lot. I have to prioritize everything else. And then what time I have left that I can, spend with chess, that's what I do. So, I hope you found this helpful. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. So this is Derek with Blue Collar Chess. If you did, please hit a like and subscribe. And we'll talk to you later.